Hello, Drufus.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Reeves.
Hey, yo, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Appreciate you having me.
Oh, no, thank you for agreeing to do this.
Of course.
It's going to be fun.
We've never not had fun. Ooh, my phone's ringing.
Yes. So this is number 9. This is number 9, and we've never not had fun. So,
okay.
So, Reeves, I'm just saying.
Well, let's hope so. Make it number 10.
All right, so it is 2:30. Thank you for joining us. Just a quick what we do. So basically, we sit here, we talk. They ask questions. They can ask you anything. You don't have to answer. Totally up to you. If it's something you don't want to answer, then you don't have to answer. And that's pretty much all the rules, right, Drew?
That's it.
Pretty much everything.
Got it.
So, and we usually just jump in. You don't have to worry about monitoring the questions in the Q&A. Drew and I will do that. So you can just answer and we'll take care of all that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Reeves, I don't know if you've met Drew. Well, you and I have never met physically in person. I am Keith, and Keith is me. And this is Drew, with whom I work.
Yes. Hi, Reeves. Many moons ago, I took your headshot for the union board of directors, but it's okay if you don't remember that.
I actually do remember that. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
Likewise. And Keith, it's nice to put a face to the name.
Well, thank you. And Reeves, if you don't remember him, that's fine. You don't have to like gas him up in here. It's just like...
Got it.
All right. So for everyone participating, the chat is open. But if you have questions, remember, put those in the Q&A. Don't close down the chat because sometimes you all have witty comments to say, and I kind of like it. And we will get started with this. So, Reeves, you're a senior?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. What is your major? What's your major?
I'm majoring in political science, and then I have minors in public policy and business.
Oh, that's a lot.
An interesting time, that's for sure. I've switched everything around quite a few times, so I'm finally solidifying this. Thank gosh.
Are you having some people lighten the load their senior year?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing that this semester?
So technically, I'm only in 10 credit hours, but I was a little foolish when I was a first year. So this semester, I'm taking LFIT, which is like our PE, physical education requirement, which is typically done earlier in your career. And then I'm taking Spanish 203, which is also bad on my part because I haven't taken Spanish since high school. So I probably should have taken that when I was a first year when everything was kind of jogging my memory. So I'm still taking a good amount of hours, but it's still only 10. So it's manageable.
Yeah, good.
So Drew, LFIT, when we were in school, it was not LFIT, it was PHYA is what that was.
Yeah.
Your physical activity.
And I took golf. So.
Oh, that looks fun. I'm taking weightlifting, I believe, this year.
Well,
but you can't really do that over Zoom.
Right.
I took one every semester, so
oh, wow.
I covered all the bases.
Right.
So political science, public policy minor, and business minor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at the business school, do you know Anna Millar? She's the dean of the undergraduate program. She's my entire world. Like she's everything. She's everything to me.
I'm sure I've seen her down in McCall, but I don't believe I've had the pleasure, unfortunately.
Okay,
I haven't been down there in a while just because of COVID and everything.
Okay. Well, if you get the chance, you need to meet her. She's amazing.
Will do.
Okay, so I see this flag in the background, and based on our conversation over the winter break, are you from Texas?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm from the Dallas area, so born and raised. I'm a little too prideful of it, but that's a little bit of cliche for Texan.
Not at all. Not at all.
That's okay. I'm hoping with all of this that's going on that your family is okay and you've heard from them and they are doing well.
They are, which is good. My mom lives on a horse farm outside of Dallas, and we still have power there, but she's had to put like electrical blankets on the horses just because it's so cold. I think it's been like 5 or 6 days where it's been below freezing, which has just never happened before. So I've only experienced snow, a handful of times from ages 0 to 18. So that much snow down there and being that cold is pretty crazy. So they're all safe and everything, which is good to hear. But it's still a little concerning with all the outages across the state.
Yeah. But snow only 5 times. That's quite something. So yeah, like they're not prepared for this. Not that North Carolina is ever prepared for snow either. So it's
North
really
Carolina's a little bipolar with its weather as well.
You know,
It'll be like 30 in the morning and then 65 or 70 in the afternoon.
Right. Now, are you mentioned horse farm? Did you grow up on a horse farm?
Yes, sir, I did. We have about 20 acres back home, so yeah, it was an interesting time growing up. But it was such a small town, and being on a horse farm was obviously not quite the city feel. So I wanted to leave Texas for a little bit, which is why obviously why I applied to UNC Chapel Hill, and like they drew my name out of a hat. I got in, so that was nice to be actually a Tar Heel for a little bit.
Now, do you were you actually involved in the horse care, or was that just something your mom or your parents did?
I did a little bit. So actually my first job was at my local feed store. So I like worked in the warehouse. And like, so horse feed bags are like 20 pounds. So basically what I'd be doing is like lifting them and taking them to customers that would drive by the barn. So I did a little bit on that front, because the town I lived in and grew up in was like, that was pretty normal to have horse farms. But that was about it. I used to go with my mom and help her, like prepare the horses, I guess, for horse shows because he used to show a lot too. But as far as the farm goes, I'd feed, help with hay and everything, but I wasn't like managing the horses or anything. I wasn't really in the weeds as much as she was.
Cool.
Right, so I have a question for you. What prompted you to run for student body president?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's also kind of a loaded question. So coming into Carolina, I really didn't know anyone here. So no one from my high school came here. No one I knew from Texas came to UNC Chapel Hill, just because most people from my high school went to local schools or schools in Texas. So I wanted to get involved as much as possible. So I became involved in student government. I ran for Senate, the undergraduate Senate, I think my first year, September or October, and I served in that capacity for 3 years. I'm really passionate about civic engagement and mental health specifically. So I got really involved in those phases. And then my sophomore year, I became involved with the executive branch of student government and served as the director of town and community affairs. So a lot of like local engagement in and around Chapel Hill. And before the election, I kind of had a few discussions with my predecessor, Ashton Martin, who served as student body president last year, and then Savannah Putnam, who served before me. And I just felt really passionate about it. And, Carolina really just kind of accepted me for who I was. And I really wanted to, kind of give back in my last year. So kind of serving in this position, especially during a pivotal election year, civic engagement and during a COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously that was not expected by any capacity, but mental health has been extremely difficult to navigate for students, staff, faculty, and community members in general, just because of the sense of isolation that people are facing. So, those are kind of like encompassed in the role that I've been able to have, and being able to give back in the form of this role, especially working with administrators and with students and student leaders, has been really fulfilling. That's just kind of, why I wanted to be a part of this.
Which you sort of slid into my next part of it. I'm sure when you were thinking about this and you decided, okay, I'm going to run for student body president at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, one of the greatest institutions on the planet, you did not think that your year as president was going to be anything like it has turned out to be. I am quite sure. I don't think anyone could have pinpointed this if they wanted to. What have you learned in your tenure? So what are you able to take away from this and you think that you'll be able to use later in life?
A lot. So before I came into office, I was really expecting civic engagement and, once again, mental health to kind of be pivotal, platform pillars that I would be focusing on during my administration. And then I was elected on February 11th, 2020, and we left school on March 13th. And I actually didn't come into office until April 7th of last year. So it was like right as that transformative period. So right when we're transitioning to online courses and really dealing with what the fallout of this pandemic was going to look like. So for one, I learned how to balance. Two, I really learned how to listen to others. So this I guess sometime in May, the United States faced an enormous racial reckoning, the biggest, since the 60s. That takes a lot of listening to other people and using my position to kind of step back and listen to students, especially those in marginalized communities, in and around the campus community, and what we need to do in the form of student government as a direct source of student advocacy to be taken to the administrators into these meetings behind closed doors. So it's a lot about listening and a lot about using your platform to help other people. I've also kind of learned that I'm going to take into the futures, how to manage my own time and how to take time for myself. So I don't know if y'all know Bobby Kunzman, but he always tries to make sure that I'm doing that. He's our student government advisor, so the director of student life and leadership. So he really kind of keeps me on my toes when I'm kind of at my tipping point. So that's something that I think I'm going to carry forward into, whether that be graduate school or a profession or anything like that. So I'm really thankful for the people that I've been able to be surrounded by, and some of those lessons I think are really going to carry me forward into the future.
Yes, and we know Robert. So we'll get into some questions. So Darian Abernathy, whom we love, she would like to know, what do you want to be when you grow up?
That's a really good question. I literally don't know, unfortunately, but I still don't have a job or anything planned out for after graduation, which is getting scarier by the day. But I was initially planning on going to law school after graduation. But because of COVID and everything, I just decided to take a gap year to work and be able to get some money so I can put myself through law school. So I still intend on going to law school. I think I'm going to work for a year. So crossing my fingers, I kind of want to work on a campaign somewhere across the country or for like a policy think tank for a little bit. And then obviously go to law school. And then after that, I'm not 100% what I want to do, but I want to do something in the public advocacy sphere. So, that's pretty broad, but, I don't have like a specific pinpoint of what I want to be when I grow up, but I want to do something in the realm of advocacy, especially in government, but potentially in like a private, in the private sector. So any way where you see like the nexus of private institutions and the public good and combining those for just public service in general. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but hopefully something like that.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And don't worry about not knowing what you want to do. I'm quite sure there are people on this who have jobs and are listening to you right now that still don't know what they want to be when they grow up.
Yeah, I was thinking that sounds pretty cool. So,
yeah. And I might be one of those. And just to give you forewarning, these questions go all over the place. So we'll talk about something, and then we'll go to something else, and we'll come back, and then we'll go to something else. Because right now, Ion Outerbridge wants to know, how about those Cowboys?
Unfortunately, not this year. But I'm hoping that I'll see a Cowboys Super Bowl sometime in my lifetime, because that hasn't happened yet. think the last one was 95, and I was born in 98. So haven't been alive, but I still think the Cowboys are America's team. Let's see if Dak comes back. He actually gets a contract. I'm a little unsure, but I'm excited for the future. We'll see if McCarthy can kind of pull together the Cowboys before we get a new coach, and if Jerry Jones is going to keep managing. But Cowboys, America's team, and they're going to win a Super Bowl pretty soon, I hope.
Okay, so I'm going to take that to mean that the Cowboys are your team.
Oh, yes, sir, they are.
That is your team.
Cowboys and Mavericks, my two teams.
I struggle.
I don't know about the Mavericks or the Cowboys.
I struggle. No, I have no problem with the Mavericks because I was a huge Dirk fan. Loved him.
Oh, okay.
But I hate the Cowboys.
It's such a love-hate relationship, or not a love-hate. People either really like the Cowboys or absolutely despise them. I think they're one of the most liked teams, but also the most hated team in the country. So it's pretty polar opposite.
Yeah. Plus, I'm a Giants fan, so it's just not gonna work well with us.
Yeah.
All right. So next question: who do you look up to the most, and what qualities do you appreciate about that person?
Ooh. Very good question. Let's see. I'll do one kind of like in the public sphere and then one in the private sphere, or like one that's pretty close to me. So more privately is my mom. Single mother throughout growing up, and she like, as I mentioned before, she had this horse farm and managed a job and then raised two kids, and I wasn't the easiest kid to deal with. So she is the most independent person I've ever been, which is really respectable and kind of inspiring to me. And it helps me kind of get my own footing in the world. And, she's most of the reason why, I am who I am today. And then in the public sphere is Pete Buttigieg, because he kind of broke a barrier as running for president for a major party, as being an, openly gay male. So it's pretty inspiring to see something like that. And even in 2021, when there's still so much work to be done in the social sphere, that you can take big strides. And, being a college student during that time and being able to work on different campaigns and having an opportunity to contribute to a greater good, it's pretty inspiring to be a part of something like that.
Awesome. So now we have a question from Cassie Thomas from Fraternity and Sorority Life. We love Cassie. She's very dear to me. So she says, has being in a fraternity impacted your way to lead as SGA president? And can you tell us what fraternity?
Yeah, so I rushed Pi Kappa Alpha my first year of college. And I served in a few leadership roles there. So I think it helped me kind of learn the way in which to lead. So it's obviously on a smaller scale, but serving as vice president of my fraternity kind of helped me manage and organize the way in people operate in an organization. Sorry, it's kind of loud. But I also think, and Bobby once again always gets on to me for this, but it helped me delegate to a certain extent. And I'm still struggling with that. But delegating, the ways in which you operate an organization and how you go about daily tasks and managing and working with other people, getting those roles in a fraternity really helped me. And then just kind of meeting different people across campus. I was a pretty timid person when I came to school, actually in Carolina. I was really shy. And I think being in a fraternity helped me kind of branch out and meet new people and kind of, broaden my own horizons, especially as like a social individual.
All right. I'm going to sort of tie two questions together that we have.
Yeah.
One is from Amber. She's like my most faithful ask me anything person, so I have to get her questions in. Would you consider running for local, state, or federal office? That's the first question. And then Damu asks, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And those two could possibly, potentially, like sort of tie together, if depending on what the answer to the first is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would definitely consider it, but I don't plan on it, if that makes sense. I think also serving in this capacity, especially during such a tumultuous year, I've served an adequate time in an elected office, at least for the time being. So I can't really plan on what that's going to look like in the future, especially given this year. But I could definitely consider it. I think I wouldn't plan on it just because I think it's circumstantial. And I wouldn't want to run unless I think that there's a specific reason for me to, and that I think I have, you know, reason to make change in the legislative arena. And I want to make sure that I'm the best person to be in that position. So it would definitely be circumstantial, but I would definitely consider that. And then, oh, sorry, Slack. And then as far as where I see myself in 5 to 10 years, I guess in 5 years, potentially law school. In 10 years, I'm 22 right now. So I'll be 32 in 10 years. So hopefully I'll be kind of more settled down and have a long-term role and some kind of job. I do want to live in either Austin, Texas, being in Texas, and I think Austin's the coolest city ever if anyone's ever been there. And then or Washington D.C. or like outside of it, just because I love D.C. I've interned in the Capitol a few times, so you know being in the D.C. area is amazing and it's a lot of fun. And just kind of being where everything happens, especially in the advocacy sphere, is pretty. You can't really beat it. So I would definitely kind of hope to be in one of those two places, working and more settled down in the next decade.
Okay. Well, that was actually a question that we had that was in the chat. Is where would you like to live? And so Austin, home of Deep Eddy, which we'll talk about. That's another conversation. And DC. So there's the answer to that. He would like to live. So in 10 years, he does not see himself holding a public office, but it's not ruled out, and living either in Austin or DC.
Yes, sir.
All right, so in 10 years, I'm going to check on you and see if how that all.
There's a 10-year college reunion. I'll come back.
See how all that plans out. All right, so okay, this is a very important question, right? And there is a right and wrong answer.
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna ask.
Texas barbecue or Carolina barbecue?
Please don't kick me from the room, but I'm gonna have to say Texas barbecue.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Tell us why.
So okay, the sauces are different, and I'm sorry, it's just Texas barbecue is just far and just way
No.
barbecue. I'm sorry, it's a close second, but
No,
barbecue can't be beat.
No, it's not. Because
It's not
to
close.
me, like Texas barbecue is just like a whole bunch of meat thrown on the grill and it's burnt and just charred. Let's just char up this
Ketchup
meat
all over it.
and,
That's the best part about it.
and then serve it to the people and tell them that it is delicious. And I don't. Okay.
All right.
Damu, who asked the question, is fine with that answer because he loves all barbecue.
I like all barbecue, but yeah, we'll have to get you to go to law school here. I think you just need a few more years.
Maybe just change my mind. Maybe I need to go to better places. So if anyone has any suggestions, I'm gonna try that. I love barbecue, so it'd be perfect.
All right, while we're in the realm of food, what is your go-to meal to cook?
To cook. I love making stir fry. So I love one of the best parts about being in Chapel Hill is Trader Joe's down the street, because we don't have those anywhere near my house back in Texas. And it's it's so cheap with everything. So I always get these frozen stir fry vegetables and then frozen shrimp or frozen chicken, and then cut that up and then make it. And then they sell this really good like teriyaki / soy sauce, and then I add that on with some brown rice, and it's the best meal ever. And I always have sriracha sauce too. I love hot sauce. So that meal's my favorite. I honestly probably have it like 3 times a week, but I can never get tired of it. So it's my favorite to make at home. But if I'm going out, definitely sushi.
Okay. All right. So, any 3 cool things you love about Texas that you miss in North Carolina? And what do you love most about UNC?
Okay. So one thing that I miss about Texas is the barbecue. Another is, I guess the food in general, Tex-Mex is amazing. Let's see. I really miss my food, which is kind of sad to say. I miss my friends back home from Texas that I've grown up with, and obviously my family. And it's very. I always tell this to my friends when they pick me up from the airport whenever I fly back into RDU. But when you're driving on the highway, there's trees everywhere in North Carolina. It's crazy. You'll be like on the 4-lane interstate, and there's just trees up and down. But back home in Texas, it's complete plains. There's hardly any trees or anything like that. And I kind of miss that. I really like the plainy area because there's always different horses. My neighbor has a camel, which obviously isn't normal, but that's like, and it's pretty cool because if there are trees everywhere, you wouldn't really be able to see that. And now that there are big, farms and arenas and everywhere in Texas, it's pretty cool to just kind of be in that atmosphere. I really like the environment, and it may just be because I'm accustomed to it. But one of the best things I like about North Carolina is obviously, just the people and being in a kind of, it's like a small town, but it's also got, a big enough town feel where there's, restaurants, a lively nightlife pre-COVID. And obviously the sports teams, but UNC, it's kind of crazy. I actually was supposed to go to a different university. I was intending to go to the Naval Academy, but I ended up at UNC, and I think it was the best, best thing to ever happen to me. So,
how did you make that decision? It must have been a tough choice.
So they actually made the decision for me. I got into the Naval Academy, but you also have to apply through the Department of Defense Medical Review Board. And I had like a stomach issue growing up, and because that they nicked my application, so I couldn't end up going. But this is by far and away the best.
Hey, it's our game for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to back up a little bit in that. A little bit. You said your neighbor has a camel.
Yes.
Okay, it's like a camel, like
a real camel. Well, I guess my old neighbor technically before we moved, but I don't understand why. We never understood, but my parents used to go to her house for like Halloween parties and things like that, and I would always be in the babysitter's room, and there's literally just a camel out in their front yard in their arena. It was really cool. I never really asked any questions about it, but it was always there. I don't know if it's still alive. I don't really know what a lifespan of a camel is, but it's pretty cool. It's like one of the 7 wonders of Texas.
Was it a 1-hump camel or a 2-hump camel? Or is the ones with 2 humps called something different? I can't remember.
I didn't know there was 2
Is
humps.
that even a thing? I
think there are 2-hump camels. I think that's a thing. They may not be called camels, but they're a camel. Or technically, they may not be camel. Anyway,
I'm gonna look that up after.
Yeah. I'll look it up now. You guys keep.
So I'm from your not knowing, I'm assuming it's a 1-hump camel.
I think
okay.
So. It was when I was like 7 or so. So but I want to say 1-hump camel sounds right.
It's a Mongolian or Bactrian camel. Central Asia. Now we know.
Just want to take a second and tell you, Darian is amazing because her comment is talking about camels on Hump Day. Oh my goodness! All right, what is your best or favorite UNC memory?
Best UNC memory. One of them has to be finding out that I was elected student body president. I was actually sitting on my couch in my living room, and Bobby didn't have my phone number, so he actually called me on Facebook Messenger, and so that's how I found out was Bobby calling me on that, and just like the complete surprise and excitement for what was ahead was one of the best and most fulfilling moments. And this one is also kind of cliche, but rushing Franklin Street after we beat Duke my sophomore year of college. Because we were at the game and it was the day before spring break. So I was kind of excited to be able to, leave town and have that week-long break. And we were at the Dean Dome. So we had to sprint from the Dean Dome
long run.
to the street, but 100% worth it.
Glad you got that lived experience. Glad you have.
Can't do that this year.
Well, it is advised that you not do that this year. So,
Absolutely not.
yes, or else you'll be doing lots of DTH interviews, and your picture will be on the front page.
Not happening this year.
So, if you could listen to one singer or band for the rest of your life, who would you choose?
I have a wide array of music tastes, but I would choose either SZA or the Eagles. So very different,
Wow.
but two of my favorite artists of all time.
That went in completely different directions.
I'll never get tired of them though.
That's good. Wayne, I will answer that question for you. That is a no. Reeves did not rush Franklin Street this year. He did not. He did not.
Question dismissed.
All right, so we've already established that your team is the Cowboys. Do you have a second favorite? Because I think Dumber wants to know, is it the Panthers or maybe the Texans?
Okay, so I would choose the Panthers, but my dad actually lives in Houston, so he likes the Texans better, and he'll try to go to games whenever they have them. But I think I like the Panthers better, especially Christian McCaffrey. So I would say they're my second team. And I rooted for them against the Broncos a few years back.
That's good. I can.
Didn't work out, but that's good.
Still rooted though.
Yeah.
Second close.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of them either. So I like pick one team and I stick with them. Like there's no one but them. Okay. Did you or do you play any sports?
In high school I played tennis. But that was the only sport I ever played. And I love tennis, but I broke my hand sophomore year. And it was actually a week before spring break. But I broke my hand, and so I haven't played since, just because like I never got back into it after I rejuvenated, I guess. I was mostly a band geek though in high school. I was the drum major of my marching band, and I played the saxophone and bassoon. So that was more in my niche when I was back in Texas.
All right. So do you still play?
Occasionally I play the saxophone. I have one back home. I played the bari sax, but the bassoon is like a really specific instrument. It's a double reed and it's very like unique, I guess. So I've never played it since I graduated, but I wish I could, because having kind of music as a hobby would be really cool. And I wish I could do it more frequently, but unfortunately.
Okay. So with that, so you don't play regular, you don't play and not sports. So what is your hobby? Like, what does Reeves do?
Well, these past couple months I've been really pretty busy, so I haven't been able to kind of do as many hobbies as I wish I could. I do love reading, but I haven't done much of that pretty recently, just because of everything going on. I'm also studying for the LSAT right now, so that takes up a pretty big chunk of time. And then I'm really into kind of like fitness and working out, so I love going on runs. I love doing like HIIT workouts. This summer I got like these weights from Target, and I made up my own workouts in my living room that I do every day, which is like pretty fun. And doing that kind of thing. And then I was also an Eagle Scout, so I love camping and hiking. But I haven't been able to do that because of the winter weather.
Right. Do you have a favorite running spot in Chapel Hill?
Yeah, I usually go from my apartment, and then I go through like Macaulay Street, and then I go all the way down to Dean Dome, and then I come back through the Arboretum, and then back to my apartment. So it's like one big circle.
Okay.
But there are really cool trails down the road.
Yeah. And then if you're hiker camper, what's your favorite place in Texas and favorite place in North Carolina?
I think the coolest places in Texas are Colorado Springs. And yeah, there's Colorado Springs in Texas, which is kind of weird. and then Big Bend National Park. That's one cool thing about Texas is because it's so big that there are so many different like terrains, which is like always really cool. And then I honestly haven't been camping in North Carolina, but I really want to go up to Boone and somewhere like places in Western Carolina I've heard are really really pretty and mountainous. So I think it'd be pretty cool up there. I've actually been to Western Carolina University once for a student government kind of like committee. Um, and it was beautiful out there up in the mountains. So I think up there, I forget the name of the town, but I would definitely spend some time up there too.
Cullowhee.
Absolutely will. Please, I need it.
The town is Cullowhee.
Cullowhee, yeah. Big Bend is a bucket list place for me to
it's beautiful.
visit. Yeah, hard to get to, but
is it hard to get to? Why is it hard to get to? Like,
well, I mean, you got to take a plane, and then it's probably 4 or 5 hours to the park from what I understand. From I think nearest big airport would be San Antonio, probably. So
I would say so. Yeah, Austin or San Antonio, probably around that area. It's definitely not Dallas.
Yeah, so you gotta work for it.
Mm-hmm. It's worth it though.
And this is all to go so you can sleep outside.
I promise it's worth it.
Reeves, you just met me, so you don't know me. I pay rent, so I don't have to sleep outside. That is not camping is not my ministry. So that's not what.
Well, I think I want to camp more because being I'm in my apartment way more frequently than I would be outside of COVID. So I think once the opportunity comes around, I'd love to take the time to just kind of spend some time outside and sleep in a tent.
Okay. Now, for Western North Carolina, you can talk to Darian, or you can talk to me. I'm a Western North Carolina native, which I'm actually in Western North Carolina right now. So, yes. If you could have a superpower, what would you choose?
I think it'd be cool to read minds. Maybe I'm nosy, but I think that'd be pretty cool. And then, or flying, just because I feel like you could get around places. And this is really weird too, but once, have you ever seen Forrest Gump? There's a quote from Ginny at the beginning. She's like, I wish I was a bird so I could fly far, 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 far away from here. And I've always thought that's it's really profound. So if you could fly anywhere, regardless of what happens, that'd be pretty cool.
But yes, I've seen Forrest Gump. I mean, yeah. I think everyone has.
Yeah, probably.
And plus, we're old, so yeah. We see. It would be more apt if I ask you, have you seen Forrest Gump? But yes.
That's one of my favorite movies too. I love that.
Which actually is the next question. What is your favorite film?
Oh yeah. Well, one of them's Forrest Gump. Okay. I want to try to think of any recent ones. I really like horror movies, which is kind of weird. I probably would have to say Forrest Gump. What's it called? It's the one with Matt Damon, and it's the Good Will Hunting. That's a really good one. I actually watched it a few months ago for the first time ever, which is crazy because I feel like that's a classic, and it's amazing. It's so good, right, Darian? It's so good.
Yes, if you like Forrest Gump, then you will most likely like a movie that's older than that called Rain Man. So good.
What's it called?
Rain Man.
Rain Man.
Let me write that down.
Yeah.
It stars Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
Oh.
Great movie. Absolutely wonderful.
Weird, I haven't heard of that.
All right, so what movie are you looking forward to? If there's anything on the horizon that you want to see.
Okay, since I like horror movies, there's a new Scream movie coming out. Scream 5's coming out early next year. and I'm really excited for that one. I love what's her name? Neve Campbell, I think her name is. She's the one who plays Sydney Prescott in all the films, and
Yes.
I don't know why. I just really like horror movies, and that's obviously like a cult classic. So I'm excited for that one. Are there any Avenger movies coming out soon? If there are, I'd be excited to see some of those.
I don't know that there are any coming out. I know that they're supposed to be doing a Black Panther 2. But Marvel will announce something and it's not come out for like another 2 years.
Right.
But on Disney Plus, I think in the fall, the show, they're doing an original series called Loki. So I think that is supposed to be coming in 2021.
A series? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Hope I can stream it.
Right now Disney Plus is showing WandaVision. So
There's a lot to look forward to for that.
yeah. Those I know that those are coming up. So okay, let me see what we have. What is it? Okay. Damu says She-Hulk and Hawkeye. I don't know if those are movies that are coming.
Hawkeye. Oh, I would like to see Hawkeye.
I still haven't seen what was it? Black Widow? Still haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it
What
yet.
happened with that? Did they put it anywhere? Where is it? Oh, Damu said those are going to be TV shows on Disney Plus.
Hawkeye TV show? I would definitely watch that. I need
Okay.
better series to watch too.
Okay, I need to know if it's going to be Jeremy Renner. No, he's got to be the one. Oh, if you had a film biopic, who would play you?
I guess I'd have to say Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter series, because they would match the hair. And I think he's an iconic actor, so I'd probably have to go with that. I wish it would be someone like Chris Evans, but I don't think that'd be the case.
Oh, mine is totally Idris Elba, but I don't care what anybody says. That's who's going to play me. That's who's going to play me. If it was right now today. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Googling that. That is a humble answer. I'll put it that way.
What's up? Whatever, don't judge me. How many pairs of shoes do you own?
That amount, if you can see on my door.
Okay.
So a decent amount, I would say 21 pairs probably, which is a good amount, but most of them are shoes I'd never wear just because they're from like high school and, like old gym shoes and stuff like that. I just I'm close to being a hoarder with shoes. I'm really scared about throwing them out just because I feel like they could still be useful and stuff when you're going out about your day. So I probably should get rid of some of them, but I still have a pretty significant amount of shoes.
Okay. But you're not a sneakerhead.
No.
No, not a sneakerhead.
Can't say I am.
I get it. I think we sort of covered this, but Amber says, what type of music do you like? Based on your Eagles and SZA reference, I'm just going to say you run the gamut, but I'll let you expand on that and let us know like if there's like any type of music that you don't listen to, like that's just not your jam.
I don't really listen to like metal music, but my roommates do when they work out, which is kind of interesting. But I really like R&B. I love EDM music too. So like Louis the Child, Galantis, Cascade. I really like those artists. R&B. I really like Frank Ocean, Daniel Caesar, SZA, obviously. I love Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift, so just kind of pop too. And then country music, I don't really listen to it that much, but I grew up listening to it, just being from Texas and everything. So I guess I kind of like country music, but it's not my favorite, to be honest.
Okay, so here's another question. Is there a single album that you could sing along with, word for word, each track from start to finish?
Yeah, this one's kind of weird. The first one would be Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. Just because she was so popular like when I was growing up. So like every single one of her songs got famous. And so I think she's great. So I could sing that. And then I could probably sing um SZA's Control from 2017, and then the Eagles' Greatest Hits album, and then Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. I love Fleetwood Mac too. They're one of my favorites as well. And Stevie Nicks.
Okay, nothing weird about that. I mean, like for me, it would be the Chicks, Wide Open Spaces, know every word of every song on that entire album.
Uh-huh.
And then Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which, by the way, happens to be probably the greatest album ever made. In case you are looking for something that you may not have.
I don't. I kind of want to listen to the Chicks though. I grew up listening to them too, and they're great.
What is a talent that you have that most people don't know about?
This is embarrassing. I don't really think I have any talents. Okay. I used to be able to put my leg behind my head, but I can't do that anymore. I'm not flexible. And then I can make a weird sound with my mouth. It's like a click, but it's like louder. It's like that, but it's like a pop. And that's pretty disappointing. I know, but that's my greatest talent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we all can do that sound. Like that's like nothing. That's not like we all can do that. But well, okay, like your talents are hidden within, very deep. One day you're going to discover them. And okay, since you say you have no talents, do you know any party tricks? Darren would like to know.
I used to be able to open bottles with another bottle. So like you could hold two bottles like this and you kind of go like that and it opens. I never knew how it happened. I don't know if it's like friction or something, but it used to be able to do that, and it's pretty cool because you don't even need like a bottle opener or anything. It's my favorite thing to do.
Okay, let's see. Hold on, because we have questions in the chat, and I'm trying to keep up. Let's see here. Okay, if you had the choice of living anywhere overseas,
Oh, that's a good question.
where would you live and why?
So I studied abroad my sophomore summer in Prague, and I worked over there, and then I visited a lot of different countries. I was able to go to Amsterdam, Croatia, where else? Rome, London, Munich, and Krakow, Poland, which are all amazing places. I think I would have to pick living in either Prague, because it's my favorite city I've ever visited, or New Zealand, just because it looks like such a beautiful place. And I'm actually applying for a Fulbright, scholarship. So I'm going to be applying to one of those places. So I'll let you know in a few years if that ends up happening.
Hey, just because Amber asked that question, and so I'll get in trouble with Amber if I don't tell you. So she lived in Australia, and she says that New Zealand is absolutely amazing. It is one of the greatest places ever. Also, they have like 0 COVID cases right now, so they're like handling this really well.
Right.
And I have to mention, none of this is scripted because she's not saying anything, but I know. If you watch The Lord of the Rings, it was filmed in New Zealand, and there is actually a remake of Hobbiton, and she says it is amazing.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
There you go. So just in case we need to influence where you apply for your Fulbright scholarship.
Absolutely.
What scene from a TV show will you never forget?
There's one scene from One Tree Hill, and I haven't watched One Tree Hill since I was like a freshman in high school. Or yeah, I was like 13 or 14 years old, but I used to watch One Tree Hill, and there's one scene, it was a heartbreaking scene where one of the main character's parents died. And it was really like profound in the way that you kind of everyone like looks. It changed the way that all the characters viewed or like had their outlook on life, and it changed everything. Just really cherish what you have, and I always stuck to that. I don't know why. And then also, just because it's kind of funny, I don't know if y'all have seen the TV show Veep with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I love that's my favorite TV show probably. But in the very like second to last episode, I want to say, is at like the Democratic or the presidential convention, where everything's like in flames. It's like a circus, and then she ends up picking Jonah as her VP kid. I always thought that was the funniest thing ever because he was like the worst, and he said like to ban math or something. Oh my gosh, I love that show, and that was probably one of the best episodes ever.
Yeah, Jonah was pretty bad. And Beth, who works in the union, she actually lived in Wilmington while they were filming One Tree Hill. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was filmed there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things filmed in Wilmington. Actually, I know one of the Iron Man were filmed there, and I think Outer Banks is the second season being filmed there or something.
Yeah. Well, North Carolina at one point in time was number 3 amongst states in movie, TV, and film production behind behind California and New York. So it's California, New York, North Carolina.
There's actually a really big movie. I forget what it is, but it was filmed in Asheville, like by those waterfalls in the mountains. And I forget what it was, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's definitely a big movie too. Oh, Hunger Games. That's what it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So the Hunger Games, it was filmed in Cleveland County, the county like right beside mine. The county that I live in right now was Last of the Mohicans and Dirty Dancing. So, yeah. If you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
One of them definitely Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I would say. Oh, that's tough. And maybe FDR, but I'm really interested in wartime history. So like World War II has always been really fascinating to me. So I think just like how he handled everything, the fact that he was a potentially 4-term president would be really interesting to see like his outlook on that, or maybe Winston Churchill because they were pretty high up figures, or George Patton, who was one of the generals too. So one of those people too, just like that lived during the World War II and had such a big stake of it because it changed obviously the world influence stage.
What do you do? What do you like to do to relax?
One of the things is sleep. I love sleeping. I love traveling when all possible. So I always look forward to like the summers in high school just because be able to travel and go different places, like visit family or anything. So when I'm really stressed, I love to travel. And when the weather's nice outside, which I'm glad it's sunny by the way, but it's still pretty cold outside, unfortunately. I usually go on walks. I listen to music and then just take a walk around Chapel Hill or a crime podcast, one of the two. But they really help me clear my head for some reason.
So with the 2022 midterm elections and then the 2024 elections, you'll be 24 years old and 26 years old during those times. If you could work on any one person's campaign that you think would possibly run for anything in either one of those, who would it be?
Ooh, I think it'd be cool. This isn't the midterm, but to work on Andrew Yang's campaign for mayor. 2022 midterms. Ooh, maybe AOC's reelection bid. Because I mean, she's like the beacon of the Democratic Party. So working on someone so influential's campaign for Congress would be really cool. For president in 2024.
Doesn't necessarily have to be president or
Okay.
just.
I would say Stacey Abrams or Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, well, I think Stacey Abrams is leaning towards running for governor in 2022
Oh, really?
of Georgia.
Oh, so maybe that would be it.
She has expressed interest.
Oh, I hope so. She should have won the first time, in my opinion.
All right. So we are coming to the end. We have 4 minutes left. Anything you would like the Carolina Union to know about you that we have not covered so far?
Oh my gosh, I feel boring. I don't think so. Those were all really like broad and expansive questions. I feel like that's a lot of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything that would remind me. I like swimming. I really like swimming. I like going to the beach too. I think North Carolina has some of the most like beautiful beaches in the country, especially a lot around like Wrightsville Beach, I think it is. And so like vacationing over there is so cool. So hopefully once the pandemic ends, we can all go back to the beach and flock around the nice emerald kind of waters over there. But I love that too. But yeah, I really just overall really appreciate y'all having me. This has been awesome. Just kind of like had this conversation, and honestly, this has been a stress reliever for me too, especially with everything going on.
All right, great. I'll go to the beach, but I'm not going to go to the beach until the sun starts to go down. Like if you're going out to the beach at noon, I can't go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4 o'clock.
But once the sun starts to go down, yeah, we can go to the beach. Like we can go down to the beach. Like I'll be in the beach area. All right, so here, Reeves, I want to get your thoughts because I'm going to ask them right now and sort of put them on the spot because I haven't had a chance to do it yet. What do you think about Darian Abernathy being our person for the month of March on Ask Me Anything? I think it's a good idea.
I would love that. This queen of CUBD. Oh my gosh, she's my president. I would absolutely tune into that.
You're welcome to come tune in for this because she's been throwing out questions. And so, Darian,
we're going to turn the tables.
March, you're going to come? You're going to do it? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. Like you have to give me hard, firm, solid no's. Darian, we'll talk. All right. So, Reeves, I want to thank you for taking part, for being number 9 on our list, and we had fun. So you held up your end of the bargain. So on behalf of everyone from the union, thank you so much for doing this. We truly appreciate it. All right, and lastly, also on behalf of the union and CCS, we want to say thank you to Drew for taking part in the past 9 Ask Me Anythings. He's been with us from the beginning, but today is Drew's last day with the union. So I hope you had fun, Drew.
It was a blast. You are definitely lead guitar, but it was good being your backup. So,
and I just want to say personally, from me, I truly appreciate you being here and being the support through all of this because I don't know what next month's going to look like if I'm sitting here by myself. So we will see who the co-hosts will be. Maybe I'll ask Reeves to do it. Reeves will be my co-host or something. Everybody, it is 3:30. That is our time. Thank you for joining in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
See you soon.